Hello, everyone. I'm Raj, and thank you so much for joining us today. And so, if you have any questions, you can ask me now. In the past 3 days, we have covered Firebase hosting, and then authentication part. Especially in the authentication, we have covered authentication with Google and custom email and password. Okay, so now I will talk about Cloud Firestore. Like we can use Firebase as a database where we have two options. Like either we can store a data into the Cloud Firestore, or you can store the data in real-time database. So today I will talk about Cloud Firestore. So let's deep dive the clouds first. So what is a Cloud Firestore? So Cloud Firestore is a NoSQL database. As you know, like we can use database to store the data so that we can perform CRUD operations, like we can perform create, read, update, and delete operation on the data. So in the market, we have a two type of database, like structural and unstructured database. So in if I talk about structured database, we have a proper schema. For example, we have a table, so we can store the data in terms of tabular format. So in structural database, we have an example of real-time database, and we are mostly working on MySQL as a database. And then we have an unstructured database. So we have unstructured data means it may be textual or user-generated data or machine-generated data, and which has no schema. So we use like unstructured database for storing unstructured data. So there is no schema. So this is a again like Cloud Firestore is one of the NoSQL database, and we will store the data in terms of collections. Inside collections can have a multiple documents, and each document can have a multiple fields. So we can store the data in terms of these format. And one of the best thing about Cloud Firestore, which is a real-time synchronizations, like it will work as a real-time syncing. Like whenever you add the data into the Cloud Firestore, you will get the synchronization with the current your web apps. And it is truly serverless. You just need to focus on the query part, and no need to manage the data. In terms of scalability and availability, Firebase will take care of all the things. And again, we have to store the data. Like first we have to create a collections is just like as a bookshelf. Inside bookshelf can have a multiple books. So can have multiple books can be considered as a document, and each books have a multiple data like as a pages. So we can consider as a uh, data. So like first we need to create a collections. Inside collections can have a multiple documents, and each document can have a multiple data in terms of fields. Field in terms of, for example, name is equal to Brijraj, age is equal to something, email ID is equal to something. And again, and like this is the one of the best thing about Cloud Firestore, which is offline support. Like if you have no internet connections, still you can access the data offline. So now, like how we can use Cloud Firestore. So as you know already, like in authentications, we have a methods. Like whenever you are working on Google authentications, so we have a few methods like sign in with pop-up, redirect method, sign out method, check state method for checking the user whether the user is logged in or not. So similarly, in Cloud Firestore, we have a methods. We just need to run that methods. So for example, whenever we want to add a data into the Cloud Firestore, we just need to run this query. So I will explain you. So first we are using Firebase. So we have written a Firebase, and then inside Firebase we are using Firestore. That's why we have written Firestore. And then as I told you, we have to store the data in Cloud4. In collections, inside collections, we have to generate a document, and each document can have a multiple fields. So first we need to define a collection. So my collection name is data, and inside we can pass a document. So there is a method we have to call add method, and inside add method we just need to pass JavaScript object, and that's it. So with this query you can add the data. and it will automatically generate a document whose ID is automatically generated. Or if you want to assign or like user ID, like is a manual ID, so you can call the set method. You just need to pass document ID. So I'll give you the example one by one. And then if you want to read the data from Cloud Firestore from the collections, you just need to call this query like firebase.firestore. Then you have to select the collections. So maybe we have a collections name is data, and then from with this collections I need to read the data. So I need to call dot get method. That's it. And then we have on snapshot method. We use on snapshot method for the real time syncing. Like for example, if you need to read the data real time, so then you can call this on snapshot method. It will give you the list of documents, and then you can pass read the data. And then if you want to update the data, so we have to update the data inside the document. So we have to go in the query. Like first we need to define a collections, on which collections we have a document, and then we need to define the document ID, whose document I need to update, and then I need to call update as a and inside I can pass JavaScript object. That's it. And we have delete operations, like we can also delete the document. So first again, like we are using Firebase inside Firestore, then collections, then which document I need to delete. So I need to pass document ID and then call delete as a method. That's it. So this is an example. As I told you, like first we have a collections. Inside collections, we have to create a document, and inside document can have a multiple fields or a data. So for example, first we need to create a reference. So maybe we can consider this is a reference like firebase.firestore. This is considered as a reference. And then db dot, then we need to select the collections. So let's suppose I am creating a collections of user where we can add a number of users. So I have defined a collections whose collections name is a user, and then I need to add a data. So I need to as a use add as a method, and inside we need to pass JavaScript object. So we can create a JavaScript object with the help of curly braces, and we can pass the data in terms of key value pair. So we have a key as a field like name is equal to tech ferment, email ID, and this is the email ID. And this is a JavaScript promises, like if this part successfully run, then it will return a promise. So we have to handle the promise with the help of then and catch block. So in the then block we will get as a callback as a document. So we can print the document ID with the help of doc.id, or if there is any issues, we can print the issue like error. So it's time for the code lab. I'll give you the overview, like first Firebase console and all. Okay, so yeah, so this is my Firebase. So I'll type console.firebase.google.com for creating a new project. So I can use existing project, or you can create a project. So I will use existing project. So this is my project. Last year we have worked on Firebase auth, email and password. This project ID. Uh, yeah, maybe this. This maybe the right. Firebase maybe. Okay, let me create a new project. Think it's working or not. Yeah, so I'm using this project Firebase email and password. So I can go to the Cloud Firestore, as I told you. Like we have a Cloud Firestore for storing a data. So this is a Cloud Firestore, and then we can click on create database. So I'll click on create database, and then we have two options. So first option is for the production mode, and second option is for the test mode. So right now we are developing some applications. So we have to first initially select the test mode. Means anyone can read, anyone can write, anyone can delete, anyone can update the data in Cloud Firestore. So this is a test mode, and then click on next, and then yeah, maybe something my network, or I need to reload maybe. Okay, test, and then click on the next button. Yeah, so next button, then you have to select the region, like where you can upload the data, or you have to create an instance of your database. So there is a region, like you can select the region. Maybe nearest region is like you can select Asia, northeast or northeast too. So maybe you can select the region where the database instance will be created. It's a first replica, and once you create like assign instance for this Cloud Firestore, you cannot change the instance. This is location. So it's totally up to you whether you can select the nearest region or not, and then click on enable. Okay, so till that time, I'll go to the VS Code editor, and I will create a new folder. Folder name is Firestore, and then I will open this folder in my VS Code editor. Okay, so this is a folder. So I'll go to the terminal. I will initialize the Firebase hosting. So first we just need to type Firebase init. So I'll type Firebase init, and then press yes. And then we have to select the hosting, and then press enter, and then you can select the existing project, or you can create a project. So I'm already using existing project. So my project name is Firebase auth email and password. So Firebase auth email and password I will select, and then press enter, and then you need to pass the value for this directory public file where you can upload your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript file. So this is public. And then I'm not working on single page applications. So I'll type no, and I'm not using GitHub CI/CD. So press no. Okay. So this is by default file, as you know, like for in Firebase hosting. So we have a public directory, and we have a 404.html file, and this is a by default file. So we can remove this file, and what we can do, like I will run this project in local machine. So I'll type Firebase serve. So you will get the URL. So I will open this URL, localhost 5000. So it's nothing because there is no HTML. So I'll write a basic syntax of HTML here. I will type H1 Cloud Firestore. Save, and then reload this page. So it's working. Okay. So now this is the interface for the Cloud Firestore. So yeah. So this is the interface for the Cloud Firestore. So we have a four tabs. So first tab is for the data. You will get the data here. Like first you need to define a collections. So maybe you can define a collections as a users, like where we can add the data of users, like user one data, user two data, and user three data. And inside collections, as I told you, we have to create a document. So maybe here you can pass a manual document ID, or you can like auto generated document ID, or you can add maybe user one as a document ID. And inside document is just like as a page. Inside page, you can add a fields, like maybe name is equal to let's say student one, And then you can define another document, like not document as a field. So maybe here you can pass age is a number. So here you can pass age is a 23 and then save. So we have a collections as a users. Inside users, we have a document user one, and then we can pass the fields. So this is a format or a structure for the Cloud Firestore. So inside this collections, you can add multiple documents. So for example, I can create a user two. I'll type user two. You can define a name. Maybe name is student two, and here you can define age, and here you can pass age for the student. We have a two student and we have a data in this particular part. So also we can create a different like collections. So we have first collection is for the user, second collections that we can create admin, like we have a android or maybe web applications, so we can have an admin of that particular app application. So we can create a admin one. So there is a name for the admin one, like you can pass AD1, maybe here you can pass the email ID or age. Okay, so we have a two collections. First collections have a one document ID is this is a document ID, and this is a admin one, and this is a field for this particular document. And for second collections, we have a two document, which is a this is a document ID for this document, and this is a data for this document. So this is how we can add a data in a like UI interface. And then we have a second tab is for the rules. So where we can provide security rules. So we use security rules for defining a security on the database. Like right now, like this is something like allow read comma write, means anyone can read, anyone can write from xyz location. That's it. So we can define a rules like x user can read the data, y user can add the data, and z type of user can like update the data or delete the data. So we can define the rules here. And then we have a indexing. So maybe I'll give you I will talk about this part maybe in upcoming like Firebase Power Web 02. And then we have a uses, like you can check the uses, number of read operations, number of write operations. Here you can check like total read operations. So we have total read operations is 3, and the write operations delete and many more things. Okay, so right now we are using this database through the UI, but we have to work on the code part. So as I told you, we have to go for first in the setting, project setting, and then click on project setting, and then scroll down, and you have to copy the CDN path. So this is a CDN path. You just need to copy this path, and maybe here you can create before paste it here before closing the body tag, and then format the document. Okay, so this is a code JavaScript SDK. So earlier in the Firebase authentications, we have copied the SDK for the authentications. So similarly, we have to copy the CDN for like Cloud Firestore library. So we'll go to the document docs, and then you need to click on get started for the web. And then like in the right sidebar, you have to click on available libraries and then go to the available JavaScript SDK for the CDN. So we have a CDN for the Cloud Firestore. So this is a Cloud Firestore CDN. I will copy the CDN and I will paste before closing before like, after JavaScript SDK of the Firebase, and that's it. So now we can use Cloud Firestore in my web page. So now what we'll do, so first, maybe we can create an input. So we can create an input element. So this is the input element type is equal to text, and maybe here you can pass ID as a name. and then we can create a button. So this is we can how we can create a button. So we have to add a button like add data, and then we need to perform some functions. So we can call the functions like add data btn. Okay, so we need to call this function on this button. So we'll write after this one, we'll write document, then get element by ID. So I need to collect the DOM element whose ID is add data button. So this is a DOM element, and then we need to perform some actions. So we have to use action listener. So we have to use add event listener, and then we need to pass two parameters. First one is a click, clicking on this button, and then we need to pass the function, so where we write a function name is add data. So we have to define this function. So I'll write function and then add data. So I'll copy just as a text and I will paste it here. Okay, so uh, as you know, like we have to collect the value of a name. So we'll write name, and then maybe here you can write document dot get element by ID. So I need to collect the value from this input field. So this is ID. So I will copy this ID and I will paste it here. And then I need to collect the value. So I'll write value. Okay, and then we can print the value like console.log, and here you can pass name. Okay, so I will save and I'll just reload this page. So this one is working. So maybe here I let's suppose I'll type tech ferment and then go to the inspect element. So this is my inspect element, and then we have a console tab. And when I click on the add data, so this function is working properly. When I click on tech ferment 2, this function is still working. Okay, cool. So now what we'll do, we'll explore the functions one by one as I explained. So first we have a query for adding a data into Cloud Firestore. So first we need to type Firebase. Inside Firebase, we are using Cloud Firestore, and then we need to define a collections. Maybe here you can define a collections, maybe data or anything. And then we need to pass add as a method. So we'll do the same part. So first we are using Firebase, so we just need to use Firebase. Inside Firebase, we are using Firestore. So I'll type Firestore. That's it. And inside Firestore, we have to define collections, on which collections we need to perform this query. So I'll type collections as a simple word. And inside collections, you just need to pass the collections name or collections ID. So when you go to the Cloud Firestore, so this is, I'll just go to the Cloud Firestore. Yeah, so this is a Cloud Firestore. Right now we have two collections. Collections is an admin, and second collections is for the user. So let's suppose I want to add this data in maybe e-data name collections. So what this query will do, it will automatically create a collections name e-data if there is no collections. Okay, and then we need to add a data into Cloud Firestore, then we have to use add as a method. That's it, add method. And then this add method will take as a JavaScript object. So you can create a JavaScript object. So let's suppose I will create a variable let data to add for the understanding purpose. So we can create an object in JavaScript. So we have to use curly braces, and inside curly braces in JavaScript object, we can store the data in terms of key and value pair. So we have a key, let's suppose key is a name, and then the value is this one. So what I'll change like name data for the understanding purpose. So this is a value. So I'll just use dot name. Okay, and we need to pass this JavaScript object inside add method, and that's it. And again, this is a JavaScript promise, so we have to handle with then and catch block. So I'll type then method, and inside then method, if the data is successfully added into the Cloud Firestore, we will get entire document. So we can get the document as a callback, and we can print that document with the help of console.log, and we can print the document, entire document, or we can print its document ID. So document ID may be this one, okay, admin tag. And if there any issue, so we can handle with catch block. So we have an error, so we can print the error with the help of then console.log and e. So I will save this page. And yeah, here you can printing console.log. Maybe here also you can add alert box like data edit, like data edit success. I will save and then I will reload this page. Okay. So first I'll type tech ferment, and then when I click on add data, so yeah, so this is a ID you are getting. This is a document ID, and there is a alert box, and then you just need to reload the page, or maybe you can change the tab and then go to the data again. And there is another collections which is the e-data name collections, and inside e-data there is a document whose this is a document ID. So this is the document ID, okay, and inside we have a field tech format. So for example, I'll write tech ferment 2 when I add the data. So data is added, and there is another document, and then we have a field. Okay. So do you have any confusion as of now? I think this is easy for the operations for adding a data. Okay. So, but there is a one problem, like this is a auto generated document ID. So maybe here you can create a document like with the name. So maybe you can call not this query. So if you want to create your own document ID, so just you just need to use Firebase. Inside Firebase, we are using Cloud Firestore. So I'll type Firestore, and then we need to define a collections. Like I need to perform this query on which collections. So I'll type collections. My collections name is edata, and then like this dot method, it will automatically assign a new document ID, is a random ID. But I want to add like is a manual ID by you, by my logical end. So I'll type doc, means I need to create a document, and with the document ID. So maybe here you can add a document ID is doc, and then plus, and then we can pass name data, doc hyphen name data. Okay. So for the understanding purpose, like doc and the name data, so which is a name, which I am collecting the name. And then we need to perform add operations. So just use not add, then we have a method, set method. And inside set, you just need to pass same JavaScript object. So I'll just copy and I will paste it here. So this is again, this is a JavaScript promise. So it will, we have to handle with then and catch block, and it will give you the document, and we can print the document ID with the help of console.log, and then we can print doc.id. And then if there is any issue, so we can print in with the catch block, and we can print the error. Okay. So this is a simple query, like this one is for the auto-generated document ID, and this one is for the manual logic and programming. Okay, so what I'll do, I will reload this page, and yeah, so maybe here you can type Bridge Raj as a document, like text field, and then click on add button. Cannot read the property of ID, so maybe here you can doc.id. This I'll just confuse. Maybe you can yeah. So we have to use doc. On this page. Okay, I'll type Bridge Raj and then add data. define. Okay, so we have data. This one is working, but I will delete this page for the understanding purpose. So I'll delete this document. So again, I will delete this document. Okay, so I will reload this page, and then for example, I need to add a data. So maybe data is ASD. So I'll add. So right now it will give you the undefined. It's okay. And then we have a document manual programmatically ID. Document ID is a doc underscore ASD because we have a ASD as a ID when I'm passing doc dot this one. And then this is a field. Okay. So this is how you can perform the add operation in the Cloud Firestore. Or if you want to remove the data, so you can remove the data. So I'll just what I'll do, I'll just comment this logic and I will uncomment this logic. Okay, so first one, first I have talk about like add data. So now we will read the data. So first we will create a function for reading a data. So we'll create a function name is read data, and then for reading a data, so first we are using Firebase. Inside Firebase we are using Cloud Firestore. So just you need to type Firestore, and from which collections you want to read the data. So first we need to type collections, and I need to read the data from this collections e-data. So I'll just type e-data. Okay, and then uh, from I need to read the data from this collection. So there is a method we need to use get as a method, and this get method will give you the list of documents. So this is a list of documents docs. Okay, so this is a list of documents. So we can perform a list of documents. We can get one by one document. So we have a for each loop kind of method. So we can perform like we have a list of document and we'll want one by one document. So this is a docs. It will give you the one by one docs, and we can print the document data. So we can print doc dot data, like this is a method. Like we can get the document, and I need a data of that particular document, and I can get the ID of that particular document. So I'll write doc dot ID. That's it. Okay, like I'll explain you again. Like we want to read the data from entire collection. So we are using Firebase. So we have to write Firebase. Inside Firebase we are using Cloud Firestore. Just need to write Firestore, and then from which collections you want to read the data. So you have to define a collections, and then for reading a data you just need to call dot get as a method, and this is a JavaScript promises. So we'll get a callback as a docs is a list of documents. So these all are the list of documents, and then we need to perform for each operations to get the documents one by one. So we can add a for each method, and inside for each we will get the document one by one. And from for printing the data of the document, like this is a data, so we have to use this method dot data method for printing the data of the document. Or you can print the ID. So we have a ID. So this is the ID for the document. So I'll just call this function. Maybe here you can call the function, and here you will to reload this page. Okay, so this is the data is visible, I think. Okay, so first we have a like key value pair is a JavaScript object. This is a like JavaScript object, and then this is the ID of this particular document, and this is another data, and this is another data. So maybe I can add another data like VBB2 something. So I'll just add it, and just I'll reload this page, and then we have a VBB2. This is it. Okay, yeah. Okay, so like you can print the data. So you can print this data into UI part easily. Like maybe here you can define a div section. or you can like this is a p tag, and inside p you can pass a id. So your id is a result, and you can print the data. So okay, so you can write like document dot get element by id. This is id for the result, and then you need to add inner html. So maybe you can pass the paragraph, and here you can pass paragraph and paragraph. So this is a doc dot object. So like doc dot data. So doc dot data is a, this is a JavaScript object. So you can print the name. So we have to write doc dot data dot name because this is the object. So what I'll do, I will paste it here in the double quotes dot name because we need to print the name. Okay, and this will query like this is logic will override your DOM element. So we just need to add plus symbol for concatenating, and just we need to reload this page. So this is the data it's working. Okay, and yeah, so once you like maybe you can add another data, let's suppose bnn something, you will add the data. So add data is working, and then just reload the page because I'm not written a logic. So we have another data. Okay, now I'll talk about how we can update the data. So you can directly update the data. So what you can do, I will create a function. Maybe you can create a functions like update data. And for updating a data, so first we are using Firebase. So I'll type Firebase, and inside Firebase we are using Firestore. So this is a Firestore, and then we have to define a collections, from which collections we need to update a data. So we have a collections name is edata, this one. So I'll type edata in the string as a, and then from which document we need to update the data. So maybe I need to update ASD to maybe ASD new. So just we need to pass this document ID. So here you need to type doc, and then you need to pass doc ID is a document. Okay, and then you need to perform update as a method. Update, this is a method, and it will take as a JavaScript object. So maybe you can pass let updated data is equal to, you can create a object, maybe name is equal to ASD1 ASD2 new data. This is the data. So we can pass this JavaScript object in this logic, and this again, this is a JavaScript promise. So we can get the data, or you can check the logic, like you can alert data updated, and if there are any issues, so we can print in the catch block console.log, and that's it. So we can call this method. So I'll just copy, and I can call this method here. Okay, so I'll not reading the data. So I'll just comment, and I will save, and I will reload this page. And few within a few seconds, you will get alert like data updated. So there is a data like new data. Okay, so like for a better understanding, I'll change the data is new data too, and just I'll okay, and then reload the page, and within a second, you will get the new updated data. Okay, so this is a real-time databases. Now I'll show you how we can delete the data. So for deleting a data, you just need to create a functions. Maybe you can create a functions is for delete data, or delete doc. Okay. Now what you'll do, just you need to type Firebase. So we are using Firebase again. Inside Firebase, we are using Firestore. So this is a Firestore, and then we need to perform collections. From which collections we need to delete the document. So we can delete the document here, and then you can like from which document you want to delete. So like I want to delete this document, so I'll just copy and I will paste it here. Okay, So this document I want to delete. So we have a method delete. That's it. We need to call this parameter. And again, this is a JavaScript promise. So we can print like this logic, like you can print or alert. You can pass data remove, doc remove. Okay. And then you need to perform catch, and then you can print the error. So console.log and then E, and that's it. So right now it's a hard coded, so we can call this function. So I'll just comment this logic and I will call this function. I'll save and I'll reload this page. So data doc remove and there's no doc. That's it. So this is how you can perform CRUD operation in Cloud Firestore. So for like adding a data, you just need to use two method. First as a add method, or you can use set method. So we can use add method for generating a random document ID, or if you want to generate or create a document with the manual ID, you just need to call set method. This is a set method. And if you want to read the data, so we have a read the data. So we have a method dot get method, and it will give you the callback as a list of documents. So you can perform for each operations, and then you can print the data. And then we have operations for the updating data. So we have a method update as a method, and then inside you need to pass updated JavaScript object. And same for the delete. So you just need to pass document ID as a doc, and then call delete as a method. So as of now, do you have any confusion? Okay. So what I'll do, I will create a new file. Maybe you can create a new file here. The file name is, maybe you can add uh, like data.html, and I will implement same functionality within a 15 minutes. I'll just what I'll do, I'll just copy this code. I will paste it here, and this is a data.html file. So for checking, so I will delete this entire logic, and this is a JavaScript SDK for the Firebase, and I'll delete this logic. Sorry. So this is a data page. I'll save, and what I'll do, I'll go to the UI, and this is a 5000, which is a index.html. So I'll just change the file data.html. So this is a data page. Okay, so I'll go to simple things, like first we will create an input element. So this is an input box, and then where we'll collect a name. So this is the ID. Here we can pass a name, and then we have a button. This button is for the add data. So I'll type add data, and then what I want to do, I want to add ID for calling a function. So I'll add data btn. Okay, and then uh, for same thing, like we need to perform add operations. So I'll write document dot, this is the small, so I'll write document dot get element by id, and here we'll pass a id, and then we'll perform action listener, and then we'll need to pass name of the actions. So my name is actions is click. I'll realize, okay, and then we need to perform add a function's name. So I'll function name is add data. Okay, so we need to define a functions for add data. So I'll just function, then add data. Okay, yeah. So this is add data. Now, we'll get the data. So you'll collect the data like name data. Maybe you'll write document dot get element by ID. So I need to collect the data from this input field. So this is the ID. So here you can pass ID, and then you need to collect the value. So you write value. Okay. And then for the Firebase operations, what you can do for Firebase adding operations, you just need to perform add operations. So I'll write Firebase. Inside Firebase, we are using Firestore. So I'll just type Firestore, and then you can define a collection. So let's suppose I want to create a collections. So maybe we can store this entire collections with the data as a collections, and then we need to pass add, and then here you can pass a JavaScript object. So rather than creating a new variable, I'm just passing in curly braces like new JavaScript object. Their name is equal to, we can pass name as a data, name data, and then we can pass a timestamp for the understanding purpose on which time you have added the data. So maybe here you can pass new date. It will give you the current date timestamp, and that's it. And this is again a JavaScript promise, so it will give you the document. So we can print the document console.log, or we can pass alert box. So rather than doing this, so you can, what you can do, you can write the console.log. You can print the document ID. So I'll write doc.id for printing the document ID, and then you can print the alert box like data edit. Okay. And if there is any error, so we can print with the catch block console.log, and this is an error. Okay. So this is a simple logic. So we'll perform the same thing like we have a data page, and then we'll add a tag format, or maybe you can pass name one as a value, and then click on add data. So data is added. So we have another collections. So I'll change the new tab, or maybe, yeah. So there is a another collections is a data, and inside data we have a random document, and this document, and this is a timestamp. Okay, cool. Now what I want to do, I need to print this data into here. So we'll create a another functions. So we'll create a functions like print data or read data, read data. This is a function. Now what I'll do, I will create a table. So maybe we can here, you can create a table. So inside table we have a tr, or like table head. So here inside table head we have a table row for the column. So first column represent as a name, and second column we can perform as a operations like actions, like we can add a button for the delete. Okay, then we have a body. So we'll write table body. Okay, so table body, which is a dynamic, like there are dynamic rows based on the data. So here, what I'll do, I'll add a result, and here we can print the dynamic rows. Okay. So for reading a data again, so first we are using Firebase. Inside using we are using Firestore. So this is a Firestore, and then we need to perform collections. So we have to read the data from these collections. And for reading the data, we just need to call get access method. And this method will give you the list of documents. So I'll type docs. Okay. So this will give you, so give you the list of documents, and then you need to get document one by one. So we have to use for each method. So for each loop, and it will give you the docs one by one. So this is a one by one docs. And then what you want to do, you want to print this doc data inside this one. So I'll write, okay, so I'll write document dot get element by id. This is a document dot get element by id, and then we need to add the data dot result, and then inner html. So we can create a multi-line string. So as I told you, like maybe you can use this symbol below the escape symbol, this one tilde symbol. So we can create a multi-line string. So what I want to do again, like our rows will be dynamic. So this will be the first data row. So we'll create a row, table row, and then we have a two columns. So I'll write table column for the first, and then we have a table column for the second. Okay, so here we can print the data. So inside template literals, you can use dollar symbol curly braces. So here you can use the, so we have a doc, and inside we have a data. So it will give you the entire JavaScript object, and entire JavaScript object I need to print this name. So I'll just type dot name. Okay, and then we can create a button. So maybe here you can create a button. So like we can create an ordinary button, like we can write button BUTTON. So here just will write delete. That's it. So I'll save. And yeah, so again we need to append this rows like previous rows. So we'll use plus symbol, and just when we have to like we have to call this read here, this one. And when the data is added, again you need to call this function here. Okay, so I'll just reload this page. So we have a data name one and this one. So this is read operations is working. And here maybe you can add a border for the understanding purpose is v1, and then here you can add br tag for the line break. So here maybe copy paste. Okay, so we have this data right now. So I'll add another data tag format. I'll add, so add it. So what's happening? Like it will append the entire table with another rows. So you can like whenever you are performing read, you are calling read data functions. So just you need to copy this logic, and we will need to like remove the entire DOM element before adding the rows. So just do that, and that's it. So now it's working. So I'll write tag format 2 and then click on add data. So we will get and data is updated and it's working. Okay, so now what I want to do, I need to delete this data. So for deleting a data, I just need a document ID. So we can collect the document ID. So here, what I'll do, if we can click on click as a method, this is again, this is a JavaScript, like in HTML uh, attribute, we can call JavaScript function. So we can define delete doc. So here we can pass ID. So maybe here we can pass ID is a dollar symbol, curly braces, and doc.data will give you the doc ID. So this is a doc ID, and that's it. Okay. So we have to define delete doc as a functions. So we'll write function and then delete doc. Here we can pass the ID. So this is a DID, means doc ID. Okay. So for the UX pattern, so we'll write if, and then we can print the confirm box whether if you are really interested or not. So like, are you interested? Okay. If we click on the yes, okay. So it will give you the true. It will return a true. So means we have to perform the delete operation. Otherwise, do nothing. So for deleting a data, so again we are using Firebase, and then we are using Firestore inside. Inside Firestore, we have to delete the document from which collection. So we'll write data as a collections on which document. So where we'll pass DID, means document ID. So this is a DID, and this DID is a JavaScript object. Yes, it's working. Not JavaScript, it's string. And then we need to call delete as a method. DE. Okay, this delete is again a JavaScript promise. So we have to handle with this one. So maybe here you can print alert, and then you can print like data remove. Okay, so after data removed, you can call the print read data again, like for updating a table. So you can call this read data, and then if there are any issues, so you can print with console.log catch. I'll save, and then I'll reload this page. So it's working. So for example, I need to delete this data. So invalid expected token, maybe something is delete doc is a method, and then maybe you can check console.log, it's working or not. So here, calling, there's some mistake in HTML, I think. Here, result, delete data, not double quotes. Yes, on click. Maybe this one is small. I think. Yeah, I'll just go to the console. I'll click on this button, delete. So I'll just comment this logic whether to check whether the function is working or not. So maybe I'm just confused. Maybe this one is BUDD on click. So this is ID, and maybe here you can pass remove this one to check whether this one is working or not. So I'll just reload this page. I'll click this one. It's working. So here now here to pass the ID. So this is the ID dollar symbol curly braces and then data log dot ID, and this is ID. Let's save, and here you can print console.log ID. Save and then reload this page. Okay. So this ID we have to pass as a ID as a string because it's a multi-line string. So I'll just use this symbol. I'll save and then reload this page. Yeah, it's working. So right now there's a issues with the IDs because this ID is like uh, multi like a string plus number plus something. So we have to convert this ID as a string. So we have used inside single quotes, and then we can perform the same operations. I'll just use and then comment this one and then comment this one and then load this page. Okay. So we need to delete name one. So are you interested? Yes. DID is not defined. Yes. Here is a ID. I'll save and then reload this page. Okay. So I need to remove name one. So yes, name one is removed and then data is updated. So it's working properly. So maybe this is kind of like we have performed delete operation, update operations, and add operations. So you can also edit the data. So you can do it with the help of dot update method, and you can deploy this website. Yes, you can. So just you need to type Firebase Deploy. Okay, so till time its website is deploying. So do you have any questions? I think Discord link, please. Can we get shares? Okay, yes. Okay, block. Okay, and is there any questions like confusion? Okay, so website is deploy. You just go to the website, like open this website. Hold for a minute. Okay, so like we have a one page, and inside we have second page is in data.html. I'll just switch the page, which is data.html. So this is a page. Here, maybe you can add the data and you can delete the data by yourself. So this is a link. And yeah, so this is how we can add a data with the we can perform database operation with the help of Cloud Firestore, and we have a method. So like you can use call this method like dot add meta add method for adding a data, for set method for adding a data with specific doc ID to get add data, for read the data, And there is one more method that you can use by at your end, which is the on snapshot method for reading the data in real time. And then we have a update method and delete method. So I have created a docs like for this one again. So you can check out the docs here. So I'll give you the overview again. Like is Cloud Firestore, which is a NoSQL database, and then uh, yeah. So this is for the add data operations. So we have to use add data, and then second one is for the reading the data. So we have a get method. Read all the document. So you can read the document. Read all the document. So we have to use on snapshot method. For updating a document, you just need to use dot update method. For deleting a document, you have to use dot delete method. And then we have a structure like collections, and then document, and then we have a data. Okay. So do you have any confusion questions? Okay, so as of now, we have completed 4 days, and then in 7 day we have to create a project. So I'll give you the small task that you can have to perform by at your end, like where you can implement authentications and this Cloud Firestore. So maybe you can create a calculator. So you can have a calculator, like you can create a two fields, like one is for the A and second one is for the B, and then we have a four operations, some plus minus division or something. And then whenever we are adding or subtracting or deleting this data, so we need to add this in like history in a Cloud Firestore. So you can perform a history like user. So you like A plus B is equal to 5. So this is how you can implement. Or you can create a contact directory, like maybe you can add a two field. First field is for the name and second field is for the mobile number. So you can add the data into Cloud Firestore. You can delete the data like contact number. So so if you have any issues, you can feel free to contact me on the Discord server, so I'll happy to help you. So this is a simple project that you can do. Like I'll give you the simple task. Either you can go for the calculator or you can go for the contact directory. So I think contact directory is very easy. Like we have a two fields, same things like we have a two fields. Like this one is for the contact and second one is for the number, and then we can print the contact data and we can also add the field for the update. And that's it from my end.